Finding the slope between 2 points that lie on a line is super easy. All right, so one thing that you have to remember is that when you have an ordered pair or a coordinate, the first number always represents your x value and the second is y. So if you can think of this in the sense that it's kind of like a table, and you put your ordered pair in a table, and then you list the other one below it, from here you'll be able to figure out the slope. One thing that you have to remember is that slope is the same as how y changes with respect to how x changes. So in this specific instance, to get from 4 to 1, you minus 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So that would be your change in y, negative 3. And then you look at your change in x. And to get from 5 to 3, you take away 2. So the slope of the line that these 2 points fall on is 3 halves. So another example of this, again, remember, is that the first number represents your x value and the second your y. And again, you'll put this into a table. Now, if you're someone that isn't very good with positive and negatives and you don't know how to figure out the difference, no worries. If you have a positive and a negative, one thing that you have to remember is that what separates them is the number 0. So let's just look at this y first, since we're going to find the change in y. Okay, if we could draw like just a mini number line, and we have negative 4 on one end, and we have 3 on the other, and we know that 0 is in the middle, somewhere. Okay, well, if you can count the spaces in between, so we'd have 0, 1, 2, and 3, and then we have to get to negative 4, negative 1, 2, 3. From here, you'll be able to figure out what this distance is. Because you're going from a negative to a positive, which is moving in the right direction on a coordinate plane, we know that we're adding, our value's getting bigger. And then to figure out by how much, we just count the number of units in between. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it takes 4 to get to 0. And then it takes 1, 2, 3 to get to 3. And so all together, we have these 4 hops from negative 4 to 0 and 3 hops from 0 to 3, which gives us a total distance of 7. So our change in y is 7. And then you can see on the other side for x, it's 0 minus 5, it'll be negative 5. So our slope is 7, negative 7 over 5, which tells you that this line is decreasing from left to right. On the next 2 slides are going to be examples for you to try on your own. You can unpause the video to see if you did them correctly. The way that you should have solved this problem is to, 1, remember that these ordered pairs represent your x and your y values on a coordinate plane. So if you make a table of this, you can figure out the slope of this line that these 2 points fall on. So once I do this, remember the change in y over the change in x is how you find your slope. And from here, you're going to notice that 9 minus 0 is 9. So your y is going to, your change in y is going to be 0. And then if you look at your change in x, 3 plus 4 is 7. So it'll be 0 over 4, which is your slope. But 0 divided by any number is going to be 0. So this has no slope. This has a slope of 0. Okay. And if this was actually on a graph, what you would want to look for is a horizontal line. Any horizontal line has a slope of 0. All right, for the last example, I'll go ahead and solve this the same way that I've explained to solve the last 3. I'm going to first make a table. I'm going to put my points in here. And then I'm going to find my change in y. Which is negative 1. And then my change in x. which is negative 2, and then I'll have a slope of 1/2.